Hey everyone, Silas back again. Today I want to talk with you guys about the I can't do it mindset. The mentality that we're incapable of doing something that we want to do uh, because of an inhibiting factor. Now, most of the time, sometimes there are cases of this where it's true, people can't do certain things because of, certain situations in their life. But there is also a large amount of people, telling themselves that they can't do something because they think they aren't worthy of it. They think that they don't deserve it, that they're telling themselves something that completely really isn't true. I mean, we are all deserving of happiness and we deserve to have, love and all these things. But the key is that we have to put the work in to deserve them. We don't get them automatically. And I think that's where people go awry. Is they tell themselves they can't do something, or they don't deserve something, and maybe that's inherently true because they're not doing the work to deserve that, to allow themselves to get to that point of where they want to be. So you can do it, and we as individuals can do what we want, but the problem is that we have to put the steps into place to be able to do that action. No action is really able to just be taken, right away without putting the steps into place first. It's just as if, with anything, it's like if you're going to apply for a job, you wouldn't go to apply for a job without a resume, right? Or an interview first. So those are two steps in a process that you have to perform before you can even get a job. So like to say, I can't get this job, it's like, well, you can, but you have to make sure that you get the qualifications first, right? So it's the same with anything. It's the same with, any action that you take, any way that you treat a person, like there's certain behaviors that we inherently need to possess to be able to do certain things. For example, having a long-term, steady, healthy, relationship or marriage, that takes strength, that takes accountability, that takes honesty, it takes, it takes work. There's things that we expect to come easy to us without actually putting our best foot forward and thinking that it'll just be handed to us. And that is something that also sort of enables a can't do mentality, is when we've been handed so many things so easily without having to do the work first, that when anytime, a challenge comes up that we have to conquer on our own, sometimes we tell ourselves that we can't do it because we've never had to go through the experience of working towards that, because we've had it handed to us this whole time. So, all in all, I think that we should, try to expunge this idea that we can't do something. There's certain things that we physically can't do as humans on a biological level, like go out into space without a spacesuit because there's no oxygen, you can't breathe underwater, you can't fly without wings or a plane. There's a lot of things like that on a basic level. But I guess I'm just talking more about spiritually and through self-practice, what things we enable ourselves to do. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that, a victim, it's like a victim mentality too, and I'll go over this in one of my future videos, the victim mentality, but we're talking about the can't-do mindset right now. And the can't-do mindset is really a great inhibitor for us as individuals not allowing ourselves to grow, because we just simply tell ourselves that we can't do something. And it sounds more like an excuse, it's excuse making is really what it is, when you make an excuse like that, it's because you don't want to take the steps and put the work in to do what is right for yourself and for others. So I think that we as people need to, sort of like just get a grip on that, and realize that it is us telling ourselves that we can't do something more often than not. We overwhelm ourselves with our own thoughts, we get caught up in our own emotions, and we convince ourselves of things. Our mind plays tricks on us. You know, it's the classic saying, mind's playing tricks on me. It's like, because it is, you know. The mind will work against you. Your brain will work against you to do what feels good. It will tell you you can't do something great just so it can have short-term gratification. And you literally have to work against your own mind. It's kind of crazy. But once you realize that, and once you realize that you can really, grow more from doing the work first and telling yourself that you can do it and achieving things, then the better off you'll be. So I think that overall we need to tell ourselves that we can do it, because we can as individuals. We can work to be the better versions of ourselves without being inhibited by our own can't do it thoughts. Because the fact of the matter is that even if you're, telling yourself that you can't do something because of another person, that's not the other person's fault that you're thinking that. That's your thought process, right? So we have control over our own thought process, or maybe not even control, but we can guide it, right? And you can't really control where your thoughts come from, but you can guide your thoughts when they come into your mind. And so, if you can guide your thoughts towards positivity and towards a I can do it mindset, you'll be in a much better position mentally than telling yourself that you can't do something because of such and such a reason. And it's like, well, those reasons are bullshit because we make them up in our own mind. So, yeah, I guess that's really all I had to say, today is, be aware of when you're telling yourself you can't do something, because that might just be, the negative energy that you have. You might just have some negative energy on you, or you might just have a negative thought process on it. So try to revamp that and think about how we can, as people, work towards our goals and better ourselves every day, because we can do it. It's not something that is made impossible to us. It's a challenge, it's not going to be easy. More often than not, growth requires suffering, but that in turn will turn us into a better person in the long term. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say today. So thanks for listening.